Good evening and welcome to the Varietal Show. If you've never been here before, my name is Rory, and you are watching Varietal Literature's YouTube page, which is just a corner of the internet for narrative. And what we do here on Thursday nights is we play solo tabletop RPGs or something like that. Anyways, tonight is a bit more of a game. But we basically play them to get prompts for writing and do some solo journaling and whatever, and chat. If you are here live, you can join the live chat. Makes contributions, and I do whatever I can to fit in contributions that I get. If you're not watching this live, though, you do have one advantage. Well, you can't contribute. Down in the description below, there will be timestamps, and those timestamps will take you to whatever part of the show interests you the most. If you want to skip over the description of the rules in the game and get straight to the writing, you can do that. If you want to go to the end and hear the story we came up with, you can do that too. I see that GS is in the live chat. Good evening, GS. And if you are out there lurking, feel free to lurk. But if you want to, jump on into the live chat, say hello, and give some recommendations. I'm going to go right into describing how this game works, because there is actually a decent amount of game to be played here, and I don't want to lose any time if I don't have to. So this part of the show is called Lit Games. It stands for Literature Games. And there's a bunch of names that it can go by. This is just my sort of umbrella term for it. But, you can call them solo tabletop RPGs, solo journaling games, lyric games, whatever else. Some are more, like in this case, we'll have a map and a tokens. Others are just sort of abstract suggestions you get from pulling random cards. Either way, we try to build a character, a scene, or sometimes a full little short story out of it in about an hour and a half, depending on how the game goes. And the game that we're playing tonight is called 11th Beast. So let me show you how that is and give you a quick rundown of how it works. 11th Beast. I'm going to read its color text because it gives you a good idea of how the game works, and or at least the basic premise of the game. And then I will give you a little bit on the mechanics. But, to some extent, you sort of learn as you play anyways. You are a crown inquisitor of the imprecatory Society of Salomon's House, a secret order of demon hunters commissioned by King James to battle the first beast. Since then, a new beast has arrived every 13 years. The year is 1746, and the 11th beast is approaching. Investigate the rumors, learn its secrets, hunt it down, and purge this evil from the land. Knowledge is your weapon, but also weapons. Okay. As per usual, this is the same company, Exant. You can get this on itch.io if you guys are interested in playing it. If you're not watching this live, then it should be in a pinned comment below, and if not, give me hell and I'll come and post it. But we played their game last week, one of their games last week, and I really enjoyed it. It was called the Botanical something zone, exclusion zone botanist. But involved drawing pretty cute little flowers and just slowly turning into a plant. It was fun. But anyways, they put them on trifold brochures. That's how they structure their games. And unfortunately, that doesn't fit too well on the format of my screen. So I apologize for that. Some of it I will just have to tell you. But needless to say, what's getting cut off on the side here on the left is a bunch of roll tables. And the gist of this game is... And I'll show you our little play field here. There's a map. You're looking at the map right now. In the top right corner of the map, there are 3 skulls. Every time we encounter the beast, because it sort of chases us around as we were searching, we will try to battle it. If we have not collected any clues and confirmed their validity, which I'll tell you about later, how to do that, then we can't battle it really effectively at all. We just cross off one of these skulls and get away. So basically that means we can encounter the beast 3 times. Or sorry, we can fail an encounter with the beast 3 times and then we lose the game. Of course, if you succeed, you win the game. Now, this is a map of 18th century London. You can see there's the Thames River. And you'll see that there are numbered little places we can go, little cul-de-sacs we can get into. They all have names, but you'll notice that one of them has a sort of red cross here. And that is the church. That's our home base that we start off from. And this blue token here is us. This is us. The green tokens are called rumors. And I'll show you how we place those in a moment. And of course, the red beast is right here. Exactly what the beast is, though, is a thing we get off a rolling table. So basically, we move around this map, we collect rumors in our notebooks, and then we go back to our church, where we go through a process where we try to confirm if the rumor is true or false. Any confirmed true rumor becomes a weapon we can use against the... I just realized it's on the wrong layer. Becomes a weapon we could use against... the beast. So we're trying to collect information. Now, the way that that's going to work in with our writing is basically every time we go through and collect information, we'll describe that interview, or we'll sort of, do a theatric thing. And if the beast attacked us, we'll have a scene where there's some action or whatever else. Yeah. So that's the overall structure of the game. We go to various places on this little map. We collect rumors. We try to take them back to our church, get them confirmed, use those as weapons to hit the beast. The beast itself can follow us around using dice rolls. And when it gets to us, if we haven't confirmed any rumors into truths, we don't have any weapons, we just take a wound. We can only do that 3 times, and then we lose the game. Now, in terms of the actual mechanics, most of this I'll just show as we go. But the basic play cycle is we're going to roll a dice and place the beast. And then based on whether the beast, if the beast is on the same spot as us, then we can do the hunt action. If we can't do that, then we can do an investigate action, which is we take a rumor token, which is a rolling table thing. If we're on our church and we have some unconfirmed rumors, we can put those into our verify slot if the rolls turn out. Or we can move. We can do 2 actions per turn. And then if we're not dead, we begin the next day and do that cycle again. Okay. So... I think that's about it for that. Just making sure I'm not missing anything here. The only thing that I am a little confused on is how we place a rumor token. Let me get a drink of water. I did look at this yesterday, and I feel like I saw it, and I'm trying to remember it now. Because we roll a dice to place the beast. Oh, I see. Okay. Roll 1d8, find that location number on the map. If the location has a rumor token, place the beast, if not already on the map. Otherwise, if the location does not have a rumor token, place one at that location. If the beast is on the map, you roll 1d6. A result of 5 or 6 moves the beast 1 location closer to you. If the beast is in the same location as you, a hunt is triggered. Okay, so that just means the way this starts is we are in our church. We will roll what's called a D8, which looks like a diamond. And that's an 8. So an 8 is down here. And an 8 is the Marshalsea Prison. Marshalsea? Okay, I'm just going to put that in here. I did a little bit of writing, which I'll read you in a moment. Clue 1. Marshalsea. Rumor. And then I will put a rumor token on it. And now I can choose any 2 actions from the following list, and I can take the same action twice, so we're probably going to move twice. Because we aren't going to land on anything with a rumor token, and we have no rumors to verify, and I don't believe the beast is on the map yet. No. So the beast doesn't go on the map until we end up somewhere that has the same rumor. Now, before I leave this, so that's the basic structure of the game. We're going to roll a d8 to place stuff on the map every round. We're trying to collect rumors and get them back to our church here. And eventually the beast will be on the map, and then we will roll to see as they get closer and closer to us. And hopefully we will be equipped by that point to fight it. Okay. But as far as the writing goes, I did a little bit of writing to introduce a character, and I had a lot of fun with it, so hopefully you guys like it. I'm going to read it for you folks now. Once I've read that, then I'm going to start asking you guys questions, and you answer as you feel inspired. I call this playthrough A Hunter is a Hunter. I wanted to call it A Hunter is a Hunter, even in a dream, but it didn't fit on one line, and I was like, whatever. For those of you who have not played Bloodborne, you have absolutely no idea what I'm talking about. This game has a very Bloodborne feel to it, to me anyways. The fog is so thick that its dew collects in Isaac's bone pipe and stifles his tobacco. The thick, undeveloped smoke of his draw drags on his throat, and he relents that one cannot smoke in the London morning fog. He taps the remaining embers out onto the cobblestone, and a passing merchant guides a fine brown horse that pulls a wagon of apples. The merchant waves at the tall man in the black, heavy, long coat. Isaac looks away from the merchant and searches up, then down the bending road for someone. The stern man pulls out his tarnished brass pocket watch. He purses his lips in frustration and tucks it back into his vest pocket. The church bell above rings out from behind him, and the merchant's horse whinnies. Isaac plunges his hand into his trench coat and sets it around the grip of the worn saber hidden under his long coat. Fix that now. The merchant works to calm the horse, but Isaac keeps his hand on the blade, readied, and watches until the situation calms. Isaac watches them trot away around the bend before releasing the sword and returning to an upright stance. A voice beckons from behind. "If you're that jumpy about a horse, what good are you for demons?" Isaac straightens his jacket and, without turning, responds, "Things are not always as they first appear in your work, my lordship. You're late." "Am I? I was not aware the lower classes could make such a claim on a lord," responds the upright man with fine features, though a slightly lazy eye. Isaac turns and steps up the cathedral stairs to lean in on the pompous man. He towers over the lord by at least a foot. His Olympic figure is barely held in by his vest and pale button-down shirt. The lord steps back as Isaac leans in slightly closer than would be polite to examine the narrow features of this little man. Isaac says in a tone barely more than a whisper, "They tend to come out on the borders of night and day. An hour lost could mean a slaughter. I mean no disrespect, your lordship, but these things don't care about the rights of your title. The Lord examines the man above him for a few moments before saying, "You are as you were described, Isaac Knight." "Doctor," adds Isaac. Yes. Dr. Isaac Knight. The Lord then adds, "But I suspect these things you hunt don't care about such a title either, yes?" "No," Isaac relents, "but I do." He pulls back his jacket, flashing 2 cavalry pistols strapped under his arms and a saber hung from his belt, then pulls out a notebook and a scrap of charcoal. "Tell me what you know about this, the 11th beast, your lordship," grumbled the hunter to the royal. Okay, and now we roll. Now the first thing we roll is its name, which is 3d6s. Unfortunately, I think you can see them all. Maybe I can zoom in a bit. Will that help? It does. It does. Now, if you out there in the chat have a particular preference about these lists of names, it goes the blank blank of blank. If you have a... it doesn't have to be random if there's one you want me to pick. Okay, number 1. It is 6, which is bone, so the bone something. The bone, and then the next 2 are 2s. The bone grim of Hoggesden. Hoggesden? Hoggesden. Do I want to pick a name I'm more confident on? The Bone Grim. I don't know what a Bone Grim is, but I like how abstract it is. It's an empty canvas. The Bone Grim of Hoggesden. Okay, so the royal's going to answer with this, and then I'm going to sort of cap the scene. The peasants call it the Bone Grim of Hoggesden. The Lord says, because apparently it has a skeletal type form. Has anyone seen this? Isaac asked, not looking up from his notebook. A few claim so, but the most credible... What's an old-timey way of, like, referring to a criminal? Like a roustabout? A fellow of banditry? Like, what is an 18th century way of referring to a criminal? But the most credible account is apparently held by a rapscallion? GS says it's ideal because it's so obscure. Vagabond is a perfect word. Thank you, GS. Is apparently held by a vagabond. The most credible account is apparently held by a vagabond. How about a pickpocketing vagabond? How about that? A pickpocketing vagabond down at Marshalsea prison. The Lord responded, what makes him credible. Dr. Knight asked, raising an eyebrow. Well, it's two things, really. The Lord says with a yawn. He seems to have gone half mad. After seeing it. Also, he bears strange wounds from it. Isaac nods and shuts his notebook. He turns from the Lord and walks down the cathedral steps. Genera, hello. Into the fog. Aren't you even going to say goodbye? Called the Lord after Isaac. I think that's a bit of a salad sentence, but we'll move on. No. Isaac said and disappeared. Down the narrow cobblestone road. Okay, so now we gotta move twice, which means we have to cross over the bridge. So it's 18th century London. We're a demon hunter. We are pursuing clues. We've gotten our first clue. We're going to move twice, and I'm going to write a little, like a paragraph or so about this movement. So far, the beast isn't on the board. But the Thames River here in the 18th century London, in a thick fog. If anybody has any words or things they want mentioned about this journey, now's the time to drop them in chat. Isaac kept a quick pace. His scarf was wrapped high up his neck and around his nose and mouth. It fended off the chilly winds sweeping up the Thames River and kept him anonymous to those that passed by. Gennaro says, dark historical fantasy, my favorite. Yeah, I really like the concept of this world. I think I could probably write something in it. Actually, I have a bit of a concept about this, but I only came up with it like 2 hours ago, so it's got to sit in my head for a while. But a way to connect this to something else I've done on this show and maybe make a little thing out of it. I do like the idea of monster hunters, as I think people can tell if they look at the background. It's been a while since we've had a good monster hunter story. The last good one, I think, probably was The Witcher, and that was like the 90s. Oh, did it smell? I didn't know that. Thank you, Janera. This is why it's great to have the chat here. It fended off the chilly winds who kept him anonymous to those that passed by. The monster. Oh yeah, and the name of this thing is the Grim of something. The Swamp Grim or the Bone Grim. That's right. We had a rolling table for it. That's why I don't quite know its name. There it is. The Bone Grim of Hogsden. And kept him anonymous to those that passed by. The beast may yet be a shapeshifter. And so he kept quiet. The morning roads were warming. Wrong mood. Morning roads were filling with carriages and vendors. Callers began their howls on the night's events. Ooh, yeah, I like that idea, Genera. And I also like that phrasing, GS. Fended off the odiferous winds. A lady in a soiled, low cut. Is it a bustier? God, there were so many names for so many pieces of clothing in that era. There was like 56 pieces of clothing you put on every day, and every one of them had some twee specific name. I mean, the corset's the obvious one, but it's not a very poetic word. A soiled, low-cut gown. That revealed more than most would. Stay was the 18th century corset equivalent. That's great. I'm just going to write entire books with a live chat who can do research for me. Gia says a lady they wouldn't call her that back. I don't know, a woman? Bodice I like better. If bodice works, I will use that. A crass but handsome woman. And a soiled low-cut gown that revealed more than most would. Wait. Split this up. It's too much for a sentence. Grabbed at Isaac's hand as he turned towards... I don't know the name of this bridge. What's the name of like an old bridge over the Thames? I don't really know London very well. I've never been there. Gennaro says, I'm a bit of a Victorian era buff, but the plight of the everyday people didn't change much from one century to the other. That is true. As he turned towards... She smiled. And leaned forward. Is it really just called London Bridge? GS? Okay. I mean, I only know that from a nursery rhyme, so it feels wrong, but if it's right, it's right. Low cut. Stay. That room. That revealed more than most would. In the daylight hours. She whispered with a slight whistle. From a gap in her blackening teeth. Last call for the night. Good, sir. Gennaro says, I think it burned down and was rebuilt at one point, but it is a real bridge. It does seem to be the case for a lot of historical buildings once we got wood to be the main building property. Well, not even wood. I mean, I guess like Library of Alexandria was stone, apparently. Marble. And it got burned down. Isaac pulled his hand away and said, "You shouldn't be out. These streets are dangerous." Don't I know it? She said, dropping her smile. But a girl's gotta eat. Isaac paused. He pulled a silver piece and placed it in her palm. Then said, "If you're going to be out anyways, tell me if you see something uncanny. I'm in the hell is it called? It has a strange name. Come on. The All Hallows the Great. I don't quite understand. This might be a reference to something I'm not getting, but that's what they call this. I'm not putting that in. I'm just putting All Hallows. I'm in the All Hallows Cathedral. Genera's putting lyrics to Ain't No Rest for the Wicked by a band that I could have named 5 years ago, and it has washed out of my head. That, in my opinion, is not their best album. I think it's their next one. Just that for a silver? She said, did they say what the Thames smelled like? Is it just basically pulp mill? Because I've smelled pulp mill. It's disgusting. There is no other way to describe it other than it smells like a town has farted. But Isaac was already pushing through the growing crowds on the London... Oh, was it just sewage? I thought it might be the factories that was staining in the water. Gagging against the rotten winds of the Thames. Okay, so that's his little journey there. I'm liking these ideas, guys. You guys are helping me out here. Why are you so slow? Okay, so we roll 1d8. I hope we don't get an 8 again, or the beast will be there. It's a 6. So if that location has a rumor token, you play a beast token, but 6 doesn't. So otherwise, if the location does not have a rumor token, you place it there when you roll that. So we're going to copy this, paste this, and 6 is there. Beasts are not about, so we're not going to compete right now, which means that we can move once because we can pick 2 actions. So we can move once, and then we can investigate, which means we remove 1 rumor token from the location, draw a card from the deck, and use the Codex Inquisitorium to add a detailed, unverified rumor about the beast to your notebook, noting the day and location. Whoops. And the way that works is we are going to roll a d6 3 times to generate their name and how they saw it or heard about it. In this case, though, I've already said they've witnessed it, so I'm going to cheat that a bit. But then there we get details of the rumor, which is based on drawing a card. I think it's just 1 card. Yeah, it's just 1 card. Yeah. Okay. So let's roll 2d6s to get their name. We're going down to the prison, so if you guys want to start thinking about prison details for this interview, now's the time to do it. Okay, it's a 1 and a 2, so that's Agnes Bentham. do this like a notebook. Location, Marshalsea Prison. Subject, Agnes Bentham. If that gives you any idea of what they should be, method, look like or act like, put it in there. I've already given a couple of details. Witnessed. And then we draw a card. I wish there was a way I could be like, pick a card, but there's just no way to do that. Okay, it is a 7 of clubs. Which means we go down to the clubs one, which is weapons and tactics against the beast. And it's a 7 rowan tree wood. Okay. Rowan tree wood. Gennaro says, if it's a normal prison, dark, dingy, super strict, like no talking without permission, and bland food like boiled potatoes and bread every day. What if that's just how I live? I kid. Now I know Rowan Tree, but I don't know it well enough, so I'm just Googling it for myself here. Okay, it wasn't even the one I was thinking of. So these are the little red berry trees. Do we have these here? I don't think so. Okay. I guess maybe he encountered it in a park then. No seasoning on the taters. Suspects a branch of rowan tree wood may have harmed the creature. Okay. This really should be done in first person, by the way, but there's something about first person that I am not overly fond of, especially for characters like this, where they're meant to be a little obtuse to the reader. Exactly what they're capable of and who they are is not, it is a part of their mystique. Isaac set down a note with the king's seal before the guard wait. On the sill of the guardhouse window. Who are you then? Stone and tiny windows. Okay. Yeah, isn't that right? Gennaro says, hobbies not encouraged. If you're in your cell, you sit silently and reflect upon your bad choices like stealing bread for your hungry kids. Yeah. Isn't that the truth? Who are you then? The plump guard said, chewing at a nail, at his thumbnail. Isaac pointed down to the letter, tapping on the king's seal. I see. He said with a raise of his eyebrows. Someone important. More important than I am fitted to deal with. I don't know why he has a southern accent here. Maybe it's because the southern accent is really a variation on a certain type of English accent. Misery's the goal, to put it simply. I think that's still true in many countries, despite it being obviously yeah, anyways. The guard sauntered off into the Marshalsea prison. For a few moments, Isaac stood and listened to the chorus of moans and curses that emanated from the prison's narrow windows. Soon, the first guard returned with a finer dressed older man, carved that had carved his face in sneering wrinkles. I don't know how I feel about that sentence, but whatever. Wensley says that you have a permit from the king. Said the older man. Isaac tapped the letter again. The old man picked it up and gave it a quick read. then folded it. Handed it back. Okay, Mr. Knight, said the older man. Doctor. Interrupted. Isaac interrupted. All right. Dr. Knight, I am a constable here, and obviously I am beholden to the will of His Highness. Though I must say, if you see fit in the future, perhaps alert us the day before you come. I guess it'd be warden, right? Is warden still the term for them? Constable is a police thing, but I mean, it would be the police. They didn't really have such a distinction back then, I'm sure. The warden responded and paused, waiting for acknowledgement. I'm here to see Agnes. What was his name? Bentham. Warden. Isaac answered. He's in solitary. The warden answered. Show me the way. Isaac said, walking away towards the main gate. On the way in, he was lectured on how solitary meant solitary, that they didn't like changing or withdrawing punishments or surprise guests. Isaac ignored them. They were small men, puffed up by a uniform. The kind that ran from the things he dealt with. And I am faffing tonight. I apologize, chat. I'm immersed in this world and not getting to the good stuff. This is the kind of stuff you cut out of first drafts. The cell had no windows and only a sliding small opening to slip in food. Isaac couldn't even. Gennaro says, sadly, work beckons me to return, so I must bid you adieu for the evening. Thank you for coming by. You were very helpful, Gennaro. Sorry that you have to work, of course. Isaac couldn't even discern the features of the man within. My name is Dr. Isaac Knight. Agnes. He spoke in a commanding tone. Come here to fix me, then? A shuddering voice whispered, "You can't fix me, though. Not unless you can make me forget." Forget the creature? Isaac responded. I don't know what it was. He said as if he was about to break into tears. But I can feel its impressions on my mind, you know. Isaac paused for a moment, then said, I do. You do? I do. I have seen things of the like. I understand the shadow they leave. Isaac said, do you have any recognizable features you could mention? No, it was water in the ocean, a piece of a shadow that reached out and choked me. Agnes wailed unexpectedly, then apologized. Why didn't it kill you? Isaac asked. Maybe it left me to grow in fear. Maybe it seasons the meat. Agnes whispered, then began to lightly weep. Did you strike back? Did it recoil from you? Isaac pressed, feeling the man was slipping into visions. I grabbed whatever I could and swung wildly. Agnes said, it was whispering terrible noises. What did you grab? Isaac said, them branches with the little red berries down in the park. Agnes then broke his tears with a high-pitched laugh that he seemed unable to stop. Rowanwood. Isaac whispered to himself, then stood and gestured to the man, to the guard, that he would like to leave. On the way out, the young guard that the warden had left behind nervously said, you know, if it's monsters you're after, my brother, he, Isaac stopped. Pulled his notebook back out and turned to face the guard. It's probably nothing. Probably. But not always. Your brother? Isaac said. He works at the wharf. Says something's in the shadows. As of late. Got the guys spooked. Thank you. Wait. Your brother's name? Five and 4. Thomas Gibbs. Thomas Gibbs. The young guard said, with an E. On the Gibbs or the Thomas? Isaac responded. The Gibbs. The guard said I got it. Isaac said, thank you, sir. Then left out the main gate, away from the misery of Marshalsea Prison. When Isaac reached the street, however, there was a crowd around the town collar. A home was torn up in the night. Everyone dismembered and gutted like a terrible wolf upon the flock in the moonlight. Time was running out for Isaac's hunt. There we go. Well, that was one of those episodes where I do a lot of writing and not a lot of interaction. That's okay. Let me have a drink of water here. And read back what we got. If you're coming to this part of the show, it's because you just want to know the results we came up with. And what we came up with was the first steps of our investigation into the beast, the horror of London. Again, we were playing a game called 11th Beast, where we are a secret demon hunter group put together by the king, and every 13 years a beast returns, and we have to hunt it down. And so it's mostly about us moving through town across the map, trying to collect rumors. We really only made it to one rumor, which wasn't surprising. And trying to collect ways to kill the beast and before we encounter the beast. Let's take a listen to what we came up with. I mean, kind of. Some parts were just me writing. I call this playthrough "A Hunter is a Hunter." In 11th Beast, not in Elden Beast, in 11th Beast playthrough. I feel like this music just doesn't work. Let's do the horror music. There we go. We'll bring it back. I know it's November, but we'll bring it back here. The fog is so thick that its dew collects in Isaac's bone pipe and stifles his tobacco. The thick, undeveloped smoke of his draw drags on his throat, and he relents that one cannot smoke in this London morning fog. He taps the remaining embers out onto the cobblestone, as a passing merchant guides a fine brown horse pulling a wagon of apples. The merchant waves at the tall man in a friendly way. Isaac looks away from the merchant and searches up then down the bending road for someone. This stern man in the long black jacket pulls out a tarnished brass pocket watch. He purses his lips in frustration and tucks it back into his vest pocket. The church bell rings out from above, and the merchant's horse whinnies and bucks up wildly. Isaac plunges his hand into his trench coat and sets it around the grip of the Warren saber hidden under his long jacket. The merchant is working to calm the horse, but Isaac keeps his hand on the blade, ready, hoping the situation calms. Isaac watches them until they trot away around the bend, before releasing the sword and returning to an upright stance. A voice beckons from behind. "If you're that jumpy about a horse, what good are you for demons?" Isaac straightens his jacket without turning and responds, "Things are not always as they first appear in my work, your lordship. You're late." "Am I? Was not aware the lower classes could make such a claim on a lord," responded the upright man with fine features, though a slightly lazy eye. Isaac turns and steps up the cathedral stairs to lean in on this pompous man. Isaac towers over the lord by at least a foot. His Olympic figure is barely held in by his vest and pale button-down shirt. The lord steps back as Isaac leans in slightly closer than would be polite to examine the narrow features of this little man. Isaac says in a tone barely more than a whisper, "They tend to come out on the borders of night and day. An hour lost now could mean a slaughter. I mean no disrespect, your lordship, but these things don't care about the rights of your title." The lord examines the man above him for a few moments before saying, "You are as you were described, Isaac Knight." "Doctor," adds Isaac. "Ah, yes. Dr. Isaac Knight." The lord then adds, "But I suspect these things you hunt don't care about such a title either, yes?" "No," Isaac relents, "but I do." He pulls back his jacket, flashing 2 cavalry pistols strapped under his arms and a saber hung from his belt, then pulls out a notebook and a scrap of charcoal. "Tell me what you know about this, the 11th Beast, your lordship," grumbled the hunter to the royal. "Well, the peasants call it the Bone Grim of Hogsden," the lord says, because apparently it has a skeletal type form. "Has anyone actually seen this?" Isaac asked, not looking up from his notebook. A few claim so, but the most credible account is apparently held by a pickpocketing vagabond down at Marshalsea Prison, the Lord responded. What makes him credible? Dr. Knight asked, raising an eyebrow. Well, it's two things, really, the Lord says with a yawn. He seems to have gone half mad after seeing it. Also, he bears strange wounds from it. Isaac nods and shuts his notebook. He turns from the Lord and walks down the cathedral steps into the fog. Aren't you even going to say goodbye? Called the Lord after Isaac. No, Isaac said and disappeared down the narrow cobblestone road. Isaac kept a quick pace. His scarf was wrapped high up his neck and around his nose and mouth. It fended off the chilly winds sweeping up off the Thames River and kept him anonymous to those that passed by. After all, the beast may yet be a shapeshifter, and so he kept quiet and subtle. The morning roads were filling with carriages and vendors. Callers began their howls on the night's events. A crass but handsome woman grabbed at Isaac's hand as he turned towards the London Bridge over the Thames. She smiled and leaned forward in a soiled, low-cut stay that revealed more than most would in the daylight hours. She whispered with a slight whistle from a gap in her blackening teeth. Last call for the night, good sir. Isaac pulled his hand away and said, You shouldn't be out. These streets are dangerous. Don't I know it, she said, dropping her smile, but a girl's gotta eat. Isaac paused. He pulled a silver piece and placed it in her palm and then said, If you're going to be out anyways, tell me if you see something uncanny. I'll be in the old Hallows Cathedral. Just that for a silver, she said, but Isaac was already pushing through the growing crowds on the London Bridge, gagging against the rotten winds off the befouled Thames. Isaac set down a note with the king's seal on the sill of the guardhouse window outside Marshalsea Prison. Who are you, then? The plump guard said, chewing at his thumbnail. Isaac pointed down to the letter, tapping on the king's seal. Ah, I see, he said with a raise of his eyebrows. Someone important. More important than I'm fitted to deal with. One moment, good sir. The guard sauntered off into the Marshalsea prison. For a few moments, Isaac stood and listened to the chorus of moans and curses that emanated from the prison's narrow windows. Soon the first guard returned with a finer-dressed older man that had carved his face in sneering wrinkles. Wensley says that you have a permit from the king, said the older man. Isaac tapped the letter again. The old man picked it up and gave it a quick read, then folded it and handed it back. Okay, Mr. Knight, said the older man. Doctor, Isaac interrupted. All right, Dr. Knight. I'm the warden here, Warden Hammersmith, and obviously I'm beholden to the will of His Highness, though I must say if you see fit in the future, perhaps alert us the day before you come, the warden responded and paused, waiting for acknowledgement. I'm here to see Agnes Bentham, Warden, Isaac answered. He's in solitary, the warden answered. Show me the way, Isaac said, walking away towards the main gate. On the way in, Isaac was lectured on how solitary meant solitary and that they didn't like withdrawing punishments or surprise guests. Isaac ignored them. They were small men puffed up by a uniform, the kind that ran from the things he dealt with. When he reached the cell, he saw it had no windows and only a sliding small opening to slip in food. Isaac couldn't even discern the features of the man within the gloom of that cell. My name is Dr. Isaac Knight, Agnes, he spoke in a commanding tone. Come here to fix me, then, a shuddering voice whispered. You can't fix me, though. Not unless you can make me forget. Forget the creature, Isaac responded. I don't know what it was, he said as if he was about to break into tears. But I can feel its impressions on my mind, you know. Isaac paused for a moment, then said, I do.
You do?
I do. I have seen things of the like. I understand the shadows they leave, Isaac said. Do you have any recognizable features you could mention about it?
No. It was a drop of water in the ocean, a piece of shadow that reached out and choked me.
Agnes wailed unexpectedly and then apologized. Why didn't it kill you? Isaac asked.
Maybe it left me to grow in fear. Maybe it seasons the meat.
Agnes whispered, then began to lightly weep. Did you strike it back? Did it recoil from you? Isaac pressed, feeling the man was slipping into visions.
I grabbed whatever I could and swung wildly.
Agnes said,
It was whispering terrible noises.
What did you grab? Isaac said.
Them branches with the little red fairies down in the park.
Agnes then broke his tears with a high-pitched laugh that he seemed unable to stop. Rowanwood. Isaac whispered to himself, then stood and gestured to the guard that he would like to leave. On the way out, the young guard that the warden had left behind nervously said,
You know, if it's monsters you're after, my brother, he,
Isaac stopped, pulled his notebook back out, and turned to face the guard.
It's probably nothing.
Probably, but not always. Your brother? Isaac said.
He works at the wharf. Says something is in the shadows as of late. Got the guy spooked.
Your brother's name?
Tom. Thomas Gibbs, the young guard said, with an E.
On the Gibbs or on the Thomas? Isaac responded.
The Gibbs, the guard said.
I got it, Isaac said. Thank you, sir. He then left out the main gate, away from the misery of Marshalsea Prison. When Isaac reached the streets, however, there was a crowd around the town caller. A home had been torn up in the night, everyone dismembered and gutted like a terrible wolf upon the flock in the moonlight. Time was running out for Isaac's hunt. There we go. I mean, that's a fair bit of writing for the period of time we were in. Let's go back to happy music, though. Let's do this one. There we go. I think by next week we'll probably be doing hopefully something a little more specifically wintry. Again, if you can recommend any solo tabletop RPGs or anything that work for such a manner, do let me know, because I was having some hard times finding them on itch.io, which is where obviously most of this comes from. But beyond that, thank you so much, Gennaro, for coming by and your many, many contributions that were extremely helpful. And Gias, thank you very much for helping me find the right words and so on when I was getting a little stuck there. And everyone who just kind of hung around and kind of watched me write, I'll try to do something a little more interactive next week. As far as me, I don't know. I think I can do something with this, actually. I don't often turn these into tales, but I have an idea. And it connects to something else I like that I did a few weeks back. So we'll see if anything comes of that. It'll be months till anyone sees it. I did finish something, though. And it just needs to be edited. Which means I need to hire an editor. Which is why I will mention that if you like the stream, obviously you can give it a like, but if you really like the streams or anything that I do have a buy me a coffee. I forget what it's called. Ko-fi? Whatever. It's the links down there below. If you could drop me any money, I all that money would go towards trying to cover an editor for a story that I've done, which is basically a sort of rendition of a piece of folklore I really liked. Yeah, they're not too expensive, so anything helps. And if you're not able to do that, that's completely fine. Thanks for hanging out with me, and I will see you later. Because of course you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. Get out of my shop.